Alright, how's it going everybody? It's Skating Green here, and today I have the Meepo gearbox system. This was given to me by them. They contacted me on one of my videos saying that they wanted to, I guess you can consider it a sponsorship, but they just kind of gave this to me to put on my board, and they didn't really say much more than that, so I'm going to put a video out. Obviously, I am in what's considered my garage right now for my boards. So yeah, so we're going to do an unboxing here and then show you how to install it onto your Meepo Hurricane, and then next week we will do a ride review on it. So even though they gave this to me, I'm going to be as honest as possible for you. If there's something I don't like, if I see any flaws in it, I will let you know. But enough chit chat, let's crack into this. Crinkle, crinkle, crinkle. Also, I will be kind of talking about the differences between the belt and the gear drive then as well. Okay, well, this is a really nice box. All right, so this is the gear drive system. And you can see it is like a tough plastic that's in there. See the two gears are set up in there. I don't know if we'll be able to get a good shot of that. There we go. In case you didn't, there is two gear wheels in there. We will see what that's gonna be like later. We'll say this is very well packaged. Definitely know nothing's going to break. So here's some bolts here. I'm assuming these are extra bolts in case you need them during the process. And something that I noticed Meepo does a lot, and I do really like that, is it'll always come with the tools that you need to mess with all your nuts and bolts, which is really nice. Alright, so we got some pieces that I'm assuming are going to attach to your wheels here. So I haven't watched the video of how to put this together yet, so I wanted to give you like the best first time reaction on this. Okay, so I do have a Baja board. If you haven't seen me doing maintenance videos with that, you can check it out. But this just kind of reminds me a bit of actually their old belt drive system. Their gear drive is a lot different, but there is some similarities there. You can see we get two of those. And then this only comes with one, so I'm guessing that this is something to help you screw some bolts in, maybe, or some kind of a vise. That we'll have to find out. This is a interesting piece. And then, okay, these are for if you aren't using their all-terrain wheels, which is aired, or the airless ones, which is the Cyclone wheels. If you're using their hard wheels, that's what these are. instead of using the big ones here. Alright, and then I think this is just a piece for you to lift up, it looks like. And there's just some extra padding down here. So definitely an A+ on that. The packaging is very well done actually. Alright, we're just gonna put it all back together here. I'm gonna just leave the tools aside. And it comes in a nice box. In case like you use them for a little bit, but you want to go back into your belt drive, you can, I'm sure. And yeah, you have a nice little storage unit for it. So we're going to go into a little transition here, and I'm going to show you how to dismantle the belt drive system for your Meepo Hurricane, and then how to install the gear drive system into it as well. I will be using my cyclone wheel tires, so we'll be using the bigger discs for that. So we're going to start by taking the wheels off here so we have access to the belt drive system. We're going to be using the T-tool that Meepo provides you when you purchase the board. So there's just a nut and a washer behind there that you're going to remove, and you're going to slide the wheel off as you're trying to pull the belt back from the gear teeth. Then we're going to be taking off the covers here for the belts. You're going to use the blue Allen key that they provide you from the gear drive conversion box. And of course, removing the belt. So you have 5 screws here that need to come off of your wheel now, since we're no longer going to be dealing with a belt. Again, still using the blue Allen key that they provide you for the gear drive conversion. Now we need to take off the motor guard for the back. You're going to use the silver Allen key that they give you for the conversion, and this is also something that you should probably have. If you don't have another Allen key of that size, I actually prefer using a torque wrench here with the Allen key. And because each screw is its own independent thing, you are going to need something to grab that bar so you can get the other bolt out. I would recommend using like a vice grip. That way you can get a good grip on it and you're not going to scrape the finish off. Alright, so now you could put the belt cover and the bash guard rods and screws set aside, as we're no longer going to need them. So now we're just using the wrench and the silver Allen key that they provide you in the kit to remove the screws from the mount here that is attached to your wheel axle. It is a tight area, so a hand wrench is the most useful tool that you can use to get back there and get a good torque behind it. Now we got that taken off. You can do this in 2 different orders. You could either get the other screws off of the motor mount, or we can take this gear off. So what I'm trying to show here is there's a very small hole in there. You're going to be using an Allen key that is 1.5 millimeters, and this is not included in the gear conversion kit. We're going to be using our fancy blowtorch here to kind of warm it up a little bit, because when you're using something that small, the chance of stripping it is extremely easy, so we want to try and loosen that screw up as much as possible. I definitely struggled a lot. I've messed with these before and have stripped them both. Even these two, I think I was unsuccessful with them, but maybe I was able to loosen them up a little bit. The trick that I had here, because you can hardly get a torque behind it, is I put the tall part of the Allen key in, and then I used the vice grips I was using earlier to be able to crank it a bit. so I messed up both of my Allens. But when you decide to start using the I've been kind of calling it like a claw grabber, but it is like a vice grip a little bit, and because that's such a small screw in there, I think I snapped both of them. If I ain't showing it now, you'll see it soon. You'll kind of see that with the new gear, there's no screw that goes in, so it keeps everything flush and it's going to be just fine for you. So we're going to be removing the motor mounts here. You're going to be using that blue Allen key that was included in your toolkit. And once all these are undone, you're going to be able to just remove the entire plate off. When you are using this vise, you have to have that motor mount off first in order to have it in properly. Alright, now that everything is completely off, it's a good time to go and clean up some of the gook that you're going to have there, as you're probably not going to go back in there for a long time. When you receive your gear drive, that plate is going to be still attached on there. The screws aren't tight or anything with it. You're just going to hand take them off. And before you start putting this together, I would kind of try and see the position that piece is going to go in, aligned with the holes, and make sure it's not going to make the wires from the motors tangle up or anything. And I know there's like a blue Loctite on the screws already. I prefer to just use my own Loctite just for my own security, because you definitely don't want any of this stuff loosening up. So I don't think it's required to do it. It's just my own personal preference, and I'm just using red Loctite. I use that for my other off-roading board, and it keeps everything in pretty good. And considering that I'm not going to be removing these for a while, I want to make sure they're on there well. And just as before, we're just using the blue Allen key that came from the toolkit to tighten up everything. You never want to use like a torque wrench or anything when you're tightening, because you don't want to over torque, and you have the possible chance of stripping the head for later, or it might cause an issue with any electrical components or something, because you are attaching this to the brushless motor. Anytime when you're dealing with electronics, it's just good to be extra careful about everything. And as long as they're really good and snug when you're doing it by hand with the Loctite, it's most likely not going to go anywhere. So now we're going to start putting the new gear tooth into the shaft of the brushless motor here. It can be very difficult to get in. What I'm using is a rubber mallet. Never use something metal unless you're going to have like a cushion in between the two, because the metal's going to chip at it and possibly damage the gear tooth. So definitely use something with like a rubber head on it. Something you can do if you're having a lot of difficulty getting it in is what we did with that other screw for the motor. You can use a blowtorch to warm it up a little bit, so it gets a little bit easier for you to get the gear tooth in place. Lining it up is pretty easy at that point, because there's those two little magnets that clip into the gearbox. Now you have to get the one part to slide into the wheel axle insert as well. Some different ways of doing it. I made sure the motor part was connected right off the bat, and you can just slide that in. You could do it the other way as well. I don't know what's easier. Pretty much what's easier for you will work just fine. Again, just using some Loctite, we're going to be putting the mount for the brushless motor together with the gear drive system. And I should mention, there is some kind of grease or lubricant that is in the gear drive system. I do want to ask the company itself what they are using. there will be a maintenance video for this in the future. And when we're tightening all this stuff up, I'm just again using the blue Allen key that comes with everything. There is like a light green one that comes with it that I don't believe I used at all during the conversion, but you will need that when you're trying to remove the top plate of the gear system itself. Alright, now something that you need to kind of watch out for, you want to spin the motor a little bit to align these holes. That little piece only has 3 specific openings for these screws to go into the mount for the wheel axle, and they already have the holes preset in there, so you just need to take a good look inside that part and just make sure all 3 holes are aligned with where you're going to be inserting those screws. After that, it just becomes, as you can see, just trying to find it all to line up properly with the inserts you've already have inside the wheel axle section. And for this one, you're going to be using the silver Allen key. Once you get one of those screws in, then it'll be easier for you to get the rest in. And after that is when you're going to be using the silver Allen key to kind of keep it in place as you put the nuts back onto the other side. Again, you have to use the hand wrench that they give you. It's a little bit of pain. Try to get it as tight as you can, because there's that little rubber piece that's on those nuts, and that's what's keeping that screw like kind of more locked in place, kind of similar to what Loctite does. So you just want to try and get the tip of that screw to that head as close as possible, because I personally wasn't able to get the whole bolt to go through the nut. So since we're using Cyclone wheels, we're going to be using the big disc here. If you're using street wheels, you're going to use the little one. Now there's like 3 slots that you insert and mash them together, and you want to push those in as close as possible, and then the wheel pretty much locks itself in place. You just kind of spin it a little bit, get the thing to click together, and then we just tighten the wheel back on, and then we're done. So hopefully my video made it a little bit simpler for you to put everything together. It doesn't provide you with any instructions or anything, so I'll send a link to what I've referenced to put stuff together in case something I might not have showed as well, and just for a second reference for you. I do want to thank Meepo a lot for sending me this. It looks awesome, and when we do the run test here for you to know how this sounds, it's pretty awesome. I'm excited to get this charged up and out on the road. I will have that gear drive review for you next week, and you all have a good one. Take care.